It hasn't been done in a long time, and with the coming water slide of new game announcements at E3, it feels like it's the perfect moment for a Switch Force Top 25 Best Switch Games list, early 2018 edition. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from Switch Force. Gabe is here. We did something like this a long ways back, but we haven't corralled all of our favorites into one pile in quite a while, and it's the perfect time given that we're going to get a whole lot of details on Smash Brothers, on Fire Emblem, hopefully Pokemon, and maybe even more at E3 in a month. So before we get that to sort of, jumble up the rankings, we wanted to give you our 25 best Switch games. And the disclaimer that these are our picks. Obviously, we know that some people may think our number 23 is their number 1, or our number 3 is their 17. It is just our opinion of what are the best Switch games. And we equally balanced what we felt were our favorite, most fun experiences with what are clearly the quality and best experiences, and then sprinkled in a little bit of price point and port factor as something that influenced the list. So let's get down and dirty, Gabe, and start with 25. Let's alternate, Gabe. You can go first.
All right, Axiom Verge, the best Metroidvania game on Nintendo Switch. Some say the best Metroidvania game in the last 10 years. It's an absolutely fantastic game. Look, Super Metroid does not come to Nintendo Switch through Virtual Console. That's not a thing that's going to happen, but this is a pretty good replacement. By far, a lot of people think it's an amazing replacement. I've seen people think that it's even better than some of those very old traditional Metroidvania games. It does music very well. It does traversal and weapons and bosses very well. Axiom Verge is a fantastic game that everybody knows about. But I think I like it way more than Zach does. That's why it's 25 on the list here.
24 will be Astro Bear's Party, which I know it's a simple affair, but I've had so much fun, and every person I've introduced this game to really enjoys it. It is the perfect quick 5-minute bite-sized party game. It's the perfect in-between events, so if you're going from dinner to a board game or dinner to a Grand Prix of Mario Kart, squeeze in some Astro Bear's Party. You will not regret it. Also, with the price point being $5 and often on sale for less than that, it's a must-have, I feel, on the platform.
At number 23, we have our first-party game, and this might be a little bit of a surprise to some people, but Kirby Star Allies is going to come in here. It's a perfect game for younger audiences, and yes, the game does get more difficult as it goes on, and the fact that it's done so well just financially on Switch, it's sold way more than Kirby has been doing in quite some time. It's showing that the Switch has the ability to bring some franchises that might not be as strong and really develop them, and it's something that a lot more people are getting their hands on. It's a fun game. You can try the demo out now if you've never tried it whatsoever. It's very vibrant, and number 23 on our list.
Number 22 is going to move third party in the form of LA Noire. Rockstar brings their crime caper fest to the Switch. It's a really good port and incorporates some touchscreen mechanics, and overall I think it's one of the most underrated games from that developer. Obviously, we would love to have GTA or Red Dead on the platform, but being able to see LA Noire and take it with you on the go was a pretty cool experience, and it is a very quality game, a long story, a lot of quality storytelling, and one of those moments where you're like, wow, I'm taking this major AAA adventure on the go. That definitely stood out to me.
Let's keep the third-party train rolling here, Zach, with Doom coming in at 21. The best shooter on Nintendo Switch, the best first-person shooter. Now, there might not be a ton of competition, but even if there was, I feel like Doom would just chainsaw through them because it's such a good package. It's a long, lengthy, and surprisingly awesome single-player campaign that lasts a decent amount of hours, 10 through 15, depending on how you play. It has a multiplayer suite that maybe isn't as thriving on Switch as it is on other platforms, but you can still readily find matches. Plus the fact that it has gyro, and it takes advantage of some of the things that Switch does exclusively. I've heard the gyro aiming on that game is quite good. But Doom is one of my favorite shooters in the last few years, and number 21 on our list.
Number 20 moves us to the platformer genre with Rayman Legends. This is the definitive version of the game, and it is a gorgeous one at that. It is a very, very just creative platformer, the way that they integrate to the musical stages, the way they integrate how you can manipulate the environment. It is currently sort of holding that 2D Mario slot, as there isn't a 2D Mario on the platform. We will be getting Mario Bros. And Mario Bros. 3 via the online subscription service, but as of right now, this is sort of the just gorgeous and glorious 2D platformer. It is a great game on its own. It is a port, so I think that rose it up the list a little bit, sort of a la Doom and L.A. Noire, but you can't really go wrong with Rayman. There's a little bit of light multiplayer inclusion, and it is a joy to behold, handheld or docked.
At number 19, we have Skyrim. Look, Skyrim is not a new game by any means. It's been out for a very long time, and you've probably played it a number of times if you have other platforms available to you. But the port runs extremely well on Switch. That was the first thing that I was very surprised by when I played this for the first time. Like, hey, this is running amazingly on Switch, and it opened up the possibilities in my mind to other franchises like Fallout making their way to Switch, just because, hey, if it's able to handle something like this, it could definitely handle other things. And, other than the fact you probably played it a whole bunch, there is new stuff in the Switch version, just cosmetics for the most part. You get a cool tunic and a, Hyrule-inspired, sword and shield. But if you like Skyrim, you're going to enjoy it on Switch. Take it on the go with you, level up, and do missions on the go. What else can be said about that?
Number 18 holds Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, and this might be blasphemous to some, but it's just not our favorite indie on the platform. Nonetheless, it is a phenomenal title. It really harkens back to the NES and SNES days and delivers a great side-scrolling action adventure. The inclusion of different characters is a whole lot of fun. It's one of the best packages in terms of content and value. Jake loved it back in the day at launch, and I still think it's very valuable. Fingers crossed that Shovel Knight makes his way to Smash Brothers. That would be super cool. I don't think you can go wrong with this as your indie of choice, but it's not our favorite indie. We'll get to those a little bit later.
Number 17 is also an indie. We have Stardew Valley, a game that, we don't play as religiously as other people. Of course, the multiplayer update is out in beta now on PC. It is promised to come to Switch later in the year, and I can't wait for that. But Stardew Valley is a known commodity. It landed on the top of the eShop charts for quite some time. People really, really love it. For us, it falls more at 17 just because, again, this farming simulator is very, very fun, but there are a lot of other great indie games on this list. But for now, Stardew Valley, 17.
Number 16 is Rocket League. It was the big indie announcement at E3 last year, and it came through, delivering cross-platform play, a couple of console exclusives, and just that excellent car soccer gameplay. It works very well on the platform. It's fun to take with you on the go, and I think enough has been said about Rocket League. This is one of the premier multiplayer experiences of the last decade.
At number 15, we have Sonic Mania. Now look, last year gave us two Sonic games. One not so great. The other one was Sonic Mania, one of my favorite third-party presentations on Nintendo Switch. It's out for $20. We have Sonic Mania Plus on the horizon that introduces new characters as well as a revamped version of some of the levels on here. A very vibrant and cool game to play with. Split Joy-Con. I did that recently and had quite some fun. So yeah, you can't go wrong with Sonic Mania.
Number 14 brings us Xenoblade Chronicles 2, one of the most expansive and massive games on the platform, a mega JRPG adventure that incorporates modern mechanics. Gabe really loved digging into this one, and although it does have a slow start, it still was a great first-year title, and freaking crazy that it was able to hit in the same year that Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Splatoon 2, Mario plus Rabbids, and Super Mario Odyssey hit. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is one not to forget and not to miss on Switch.
At number 13, we have Overcooked Special Edition. This is a special Zach Jam. Him and Jake have a hilarious video on our channel where it just perfectly showcases the amount of fun you can have with this. It is frustrating yet incredibly fun co-op adventures where you are kind of running a kitchen and, yelling at your partner to get things right. It's a really good time even to just watch people play this. It's a perfect party game, and yeah, lands number 13 on our list.
Number 12 is ARMS, and even though we have sort of fallen out of the scene, it still was such a fun time, and those initial fights that we had back near launch were competitive and crazy and chaotic, and it brings about a new way of play for the fighting genre, and I think that should not be overlooked. It does fall one step below Overcooked, and it's because it is creative. It has an eclectic cast of characters, an eclectic fighting style, and they did bring quite a bit of free DLC to the game. We'll have to see if we ever get a sequel for ARMS, but as it stands, it may not be the best first-party offering, but it definitely is one worth checking out.
At number 11, we have SteamWorld Dig 2. Now, the SteamWorld franchise in general, like, it's all on Switch now. They're all amazing, but SteamWorld Dig 2 holds a special place in my heart just because it's, like, so satisfying. That gameplay loop of going down deeper, getting more resources to upgrade only to go even deeper the next time. And, some of the boss fights, while there aren't that many of them, they're still super satisfying. The gameplay is, like, top-notch, and just finding Rusty and what happened there was a really cool experience. It's a little short. That's one of the, like, the things that deter me from putting it higher on the list, but still a quality experience nonetheless.
Number 10 moves us higher and higher the indie charts with Enter the Gungeon, our favorite roguelike on the platform. This one is seemingly infinitely replayable. It is so much fun to see how far you can get, what kind of crazy guns you add to your arsenal, and what kind of weirdo enemies you come up against. It is challenging. It is difficult. Some players have said it's too difficult and frustrating, but at the price point, it is a far better offering than the other roguelikes out there. I think this is one of the first eShop purchases a Switch owner should make, and it's absolutely awesome.
At number 9 comes Snipper Clips, and to me, this is the first purchase you should make on eShop because it's so cheap, $20, and you have such an amazing co-op experience for you, a friend, a significant other, doesn't matter. The puzzles here are very simplistic at first, but as the worlds progress, they get more and more intricate, and they can also lead to frustration like other games on the list. But the camaraderie and the pure joy when you finish some of these levels is absolutely awesome. There is, of course, DLC out for the game now, as well as a physical version that has the DLC included. Everybody knows I love Snipper Clips, so I probably don't gotta talk too much else about it now.
Number 8 is Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Davide's Baby makes the top 10. It is a very cool strategic Mario title, which is something we haven't really seen much before, at least for a long time. It also incorporates weaponry and a new fighting, shooting style to the characters. Combining them with Rabbids was a bit curious, and we wondered if it would be too much to take, but in fact, it ended up being really clever, really charming, and delivering an adventure that was decently long and delivered really excellent gameplay. There is an upcoming DLC pack that we are super pumped for, and hopefully Donkey Kong coming to the Rabbid Kingdom will only enhance this already awesome adventure.
Speaking of Donkey Kong, number 7 is the most recent game on our list in the form of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Look, say what you will about it being a port, but it is one of the best side-scrolling games on the platform. It's still full of challenge. It's still full of those really cool levels. Some of those special levels are incredibly difficult, and even those like shadow-based levels that are very like stylistic and interesting looking. This is an amazing package, and no matter the price, this is still a platformer that you need to play just for the sheer amounts of fun that are in it. And yeah, I don't think we could recommend this one enough.
Number 6 is Bayonetta 1+2, and 6 and 7 are sort of interchangeable. They're both ports, but the fact that Bayonetta 1+2 gives you two titles for the same price as DKC Tropical Freeze elevated it for us. Now, they are very different genres, Bayonetta being a mature game all about quick combos and cool kills, Donkey Kong obviously about platforming and preserving your banana hoard, but Bayonetta in its own right is absolutely excellent. It is a star-studded game that is both surprising, shocking, and also really skill-driven. So these actually have a lot in common, and they both are worth your dollars. It's a great addition to the library, and it really anchored the early portion of this year for Switch.
Yes, at number 5, and this is where things get a little bit difficult, we're going to go with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Look, it's an absolutely must-own game on the platform. As soon as you get your Switch, this is probably one of the first games you're going to want to get so that you can have those competitive nights with your friends and family. It's such a good time. Now, look, it is a port, but the new content that's there is also really fun in the form of the new modes and such. So, yeah, this is a absolutely no-brainer. The game continues to sell well. It sold more on Switch than it did on the Wii U, and that's for a good reason.
Number 4 is our top indie title on the platform. I'm sure you've guessed it by now, and that is Celeste. This feels like a near perfect video game. It really just nails the platforming, the controls, the level design, and it somehow incorporates a very touching story along the way. I don't know that I've ever been more moved or more engaged in a 2D side-scrolling pixel art platformer than I have been with Celeste, and that's icing on the cake for an already incredible game that has flawless performance, flawless fun, and really unique and cool boss fights, especially the extended one near the end. That was definitely a moment to remember.
At number 3, and this is where things get a little dicey, so Zach, I don't know if you want to get a disclaimer out of the way here.
Yeah, let's put our disclaimer out that we kind of have a three-way tie for number 1 here. and maybe you're like, oh, give us your answer. And so we're each going to give you our order, but you know the games that are left, and that's Super Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's really hard to differentiate between these three because they're all so good and all so good for their own reasons. And we kind of looked at it like this. Which game would you recommend to a new Switch owner to buy first? And depending on the player, we would recommend a different one of these, and not necessarily above or below the other. I think, look, it's safe to say that Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild are in a class of their own, especially within their franchise, but Splatoon 2 really has upped the ante in bringing a whole lot of fresh content, constant updates. Now with the Octo expansion on the horizon, it's just a really complete package that offers something fresh and fun, multiplayer and single player, but you cannot deny the power of Mario and Zelda. Any of these is very deserving of the top spot, but Gabe, give me your order for these final three.
I struggle with this, Zach. All right, at number 3, I'm going to go with Mario Odyssey. And I know that might be egregious to some people, but that's the game that I spent the least time with out of these three, and it's the one that I had the least amount of fun with. Zelda, I'm going to go with at number 2. I love Zelda. It's like my favorite gaming franchise of all time. So this is like really, really tough for me. But I had a very unfortunate circumstance where I lost like my 50 plus hour like game save for Breath of the Wild. And I haven't really gone back to it since then. It's so much work to do once again. And I'm confident I'm going to do it at some point. But, you know, it's still one of the best experiences on Switch. I think that it's interchangeable with number 1 at any given day. And surprisingly, for me, number 1 is Splatoon 2. If you would have told me like a few months ago that Splatoon 2 was going to be my favorite game on Nintendo Switch, I would have told you you're crazy. There's no way. But when the game first came out, I played maybe like 4 hours of it just like to check it out. I wasn't the biggest fan of Splatoon 1, and Splatoon 2 didn't quite do it for me. I couldn't do the gyro controls very well. Like I was like terrible at the online stuff. But since then, I've played like 50 plus hours of the game, and I fell in love with the single player stuff and the way that it lets you be introduced to new weapons that you wouldn't otherwise be so comfortable with, because I find that in that game, once you get comfortable with a weapon, you kind of don't want to use anything else. Of course, the Octo expansion is coming, and I continue to have fun with the online stuff. We're ranking up, we're doing streams, and of course, the fact that the Splatfish are like so interesting now. Now the current one is this tournament for TMNT, and that's like so cool. It's an ever expanding world. There's like new clothing items constantly introduced, and there's something to be said about that. The fact that they keep cultivating Splatoon 2, I think it's a phenomenal game.
Yeah, it's a tough. Any way you throw this is right, and any way you throw this is wrong, depending on who you talk to. So I'm gonna give you a complete weird one and say that I struggle mightily with this because I recognize that Breath of the Wild is absolutely incredible. I got bored of it towards the end, and I don't know how much to weigh that in. So look, I'm just going to go ahead and say that for me, it's Splatoon 2 at number 3. The game is really excellent. I think I probably have the most genuine fun with Splatoon 2 out of the 3. But again, it's very hard for me not to recognize the improvements and the leaps that the other two have made, especially given that they already have these tentpole, super top-tier franchises, and yet they've evolved even more. So I'll put Zelda Breath of the Wild at number 2 and say that I think it probably is the, quote, best game on the list. For me, it just something about the pacing and something about the extended nature. I don't know. I grew tired of it towards the end, and I lost some interest. That places Super Mario Odyssey at number 1 for me. It's not even that I love Mario Odyssey so much. I think the creativity there and the variety is excellent. I think it really harnesses and takes advantage of the Switch in the way that it can be bite-sized on the go. It can be beautiful at home. It has these, challenges that you can really dig into. It has a storyline that is pretty streamlined and quick to get through. It kind of is a jack of all trades and appeals to the widest group, I feel. It also kind of just perfectly summarizes all that Mario has been in the 3D space and really gives you a little bit of everything. So that would be my pick at number 1. But as Gabe mentioned, it's really tricky. On any given day, any given week, I could easily see Breath of the Wild taking the top spot, Splatoon 2 taking the top spot, and some of these are games that are changing, right? I guess Breath of the Wild is now set in stone after Champion's Ballad, but Mario Odyssey may receive additional DLC. Splatoon 2 has an Octo expansion. Do you factor that in? Because if that Octo expansion bringing all those levels is so great, that may vault Splatoon 2 to a place where I can't deny it the top spot. And if Mario Odyssey receives Kingdom DLC that maybe incorporates Luigi's Mansion or Delfino Isle as rumored, that might vault that. So that's why it's a three-way tie for us. And we also wanted to let you know that we could see a number of games from the second half of 2018 stealing spots in the top 5. So it'll be really interesting to see where this list exists at the end of the year. We've got some indie games in the form of Wargroove and Hollow Knight that almost assuredly will make an appearance and have to bump something out. So where this list goes come the latter half of 2018, it could be blown to bits and could look totally different, and I think that's really exciting. So let us know what your list would be, how you feel about our list. We'll run through them one more time for you. That's Axiom Verge, Astro Bears Party, Kirby Star Allies, LA Noire, Doom, Rayman Legends, Skyrim, Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, Stardew Valley, Rocket League, Sonic Mania, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Overcooked Special Edition, ARMS, SteamWorld Dig 2, Enter the Gungeon, Snipper Clips, Mario + Rabbids Kingdom Battle, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Bayonetta 1+2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Celeste, Super Mario Odyssey, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Splatoon 2. However you want to cut this list up, it is a very strong lineup of 25 excellent games for 18 months of Switch, and we hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, let us know in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest and greatest from the Switch and its ever-evolving library of games. Follow us on Twitter and Discord, links in the description below. And until next time, everybody, for myself and Gabe, thanks so much for watching. Switch Force out.